transitioning to you.
All right. I normally, I mean, you know me. I would sit here and talk about some random, whatever for ad nauseum. I would talk about my coffee or I would talk about something else. I wanted to jump into I almost texted you last night when I was watching this. I think I first saw it like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, I want a podcast about this right now. Because there's a lot of times when I can just like insert my own opinion and perspective into whatever's, happening. But it's not something that really speaks to me, my kind of like sphere of influence, my perspective, I'm a lot of stuff that I talk about doesn't necessarily seem on its face to be in my lane, which is why a lot of people go, "Hey, why don't you just stick to doing voices and shit?" I'm like, because there's a whole other facet to me that you guys don't know about. But when I saw this last night, it sparked an immediate. I will be honest with you. It sparked an immediate response that I quickly had to go, all right, now how do I feel about this really? I want to, because I have a tendency, like a lot of people, to jump to a conclusion or give a hot take. And I felt like my hot take was justified because it was I could immediately give a dissertation on why I felt the way that I did. But I have to admit that having that quick and that passionate of a response to something typically precludes any kind of discourse, and that's what this whole thing is about. So I was like, all right, hold on a second. Let me think about this again. So before we go any further, if for some reason people have missed this because it trended really quickly last night, I want to make sure that people know what we're talking about. So the Sun, the paper that everybody reads, and even like The Hill came back later and did this. So we could use either one of theirs. But Tom Cruise yells at Mission Impossible crew over breaking COVID-19 rules in leaked audio. So, I mean, that's just about as clickbaity as you could possibly get. The Hollywood Reporter comes back. Tom Cruise rips Mission Impossible crew members over COVID safety concerns. So I think that we should just play this down in case you've missed it, so you know kind of what we're talking about. It's probably like a 2 or 3 minute clip or something like that.
Yeah, it's about 2 minutes, but the first 50 seconds are like the most juicy.
Reuters even says Tom Cruise rants. So there's a lot of inflammatory language. There's rants, screams, yells, nothing that doesn't have anything that's not just like Tom Cruise addressed his crew. So let's play it down so you guys know what we're talking about. Will I be able to hear it too?
I don't think you will be.
Can you? Ah, shit.
I can send you the link if you want.
Yeah, but I don't want to double hear it. So why don't you do this? Why don't you make your input?
My Zoom input?
Sure.
Yeah, hold on.
If that'll work. Whatever that works. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing the same thing that people are, because I may stop and start. We should listen to it all in its entirety first, and then we can kind of like break it down forensically. But it reminded me, and if it didn't, if people are familiar with this, the Christian Bale story is immediately what it came to mind, with some similarities and some differences. So I can just listen to it and just drive
that might
people
be easier.
crazy. It won't be in sync, and so people will be.
I mean, we'll just play the first 50 seconds and we'll stop and talk about it.
Yep, I can still hear you. Now play that sexy. Play that funky music, boys.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing.
This is what we call dead
I'm
air.
on the phone with every.
Oh, it's playing right now.
Ah, son of a bitch. All right, I'm not hearing it. So okay, just make me shut up.
And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education.
Yeah, so that's about the gist of it. About a minute in. Oh,
How far
Troy.
did you get in? Because there's a really important part that he later than a minute in is really where it starts, where he starts kind of it's around 117 where he really kind of like becomes he moves from just having a quote rant and he starts talking about what he's actually kind of a vulnerable moment. He's talking about what he's really upset about, which is the fact that he feels that the first thing he starts off with, all right, we're just going to break this down. So there you go. If you want to watch it extracurricularly, go for it. He starts off and the video says, "We are the gold standard." And what I was like, what is he talking about? And I forgot that this production got shut down earlier this year because they were shooting in Italy when Italy just got ravaged, and that seems an appropriate word for what happened. So Tom
This
Cruise,
is also for Mission Impossible, correct?
yeah, for Mission Impossible. So MI7 gets shut down when they're shooting in Italy because of COVID, and Tom Cruise, I mean, he is a very active across the board as a producer, as an actor. He's never directed, to my knowledge, but it surprises me that he hasn't. But he is definitely the person that's running the set. And they get shut down. And here's what you need to consider: when a production gets shut down, let's say on a shoot like that, not including the people that are back in the production office, everything. It's not uncommon to have a crew of 300 to 500 people. So when you get shut down, and let's say you get shut down for a month, the executive producers, the studio is put to a test, going, okay, there's an insurance claim that we can cover that's going to cover our loss, but we have to pay all of our crew to not work just so they won't leave and go do other jobs, because most people are not under a contract. It's a daily or maybe a weekly thing. So if they're not being paid, or they're not sure if they're going to be paid, it happens all the time outside of COVID, where even the people that you think wouldn't matter, but they're the people that keep the set running, like the grips, the electricians, the construction, the PAs, the camera loaders, the camera ops, all of these people that have just they're not the big glamorous jobs. They ain't got a trailer, but they are literally the ones that are greasing the wheels that allow the train to keep moving down the track. They are just there almost on a daily basis, like a daily job. They don't sign big contracts that their manager, their agents get them. They've got a union that helps protect them. But if they don't have a promise of work, they have families to feed, they have mortgages to pay, or as Tom Cruise put it, colleges, educations to run. So I want to begin by saying this. There's this is prevalent a lot in like Japanese culture specifically, where you do not bare your teeth because that's what animals do. And that can go both ways, both in, as you see people like they cover their mouths when they laugh. Baring your teeth is revealing the animal, and we're supposed to be more elevated than that. But also baring your teeth can be in anger. And I never agree that a position of anger or yelling is the most effective way to meet any challenge or solve any problem. I've struggled with that myself because I grew up not being able to fight and not having like a lot of physical imposition. I couldn't assert myself physically. And so what I learned is how to cut people with my words, or I would yell. And I've worked really hard to not do that. So I don't believe in yelling. I don't think that that's how you should do that, nor do I applaud anyone who does. What I hear in Tom Cruise, and I'm a fan, I think he's probably pretty fucking crazy, but he has, from the word go, known who Tom Cruise is, and he has steered his ship in that direction of that star forever. And I have no idea about the Scientology aspect of it. I have no idea what his private relationships are like. I don't know. What I do know is that I have heard many, many anecdotes about Tom Cruise being on set. And when he has yelled before, he has come back. And it would not surprise me if 5 minutes later, he came back and gathered everyone on that crew and said, "Are we still going?"
Uh, yeah, we just reconnected.
All right. What was the last brilliant thing that I said?
You were talking about Tom Cruise.
Was I?
Bring everyone together.
So
But
Tom
yeah,
Cruise.
If people don't know, sorry about that.
Yeah. Scientology is trying to break down Tom's internet. He's a suppressive person. I would say that wouldn't surprise me. We can edit this later. It wouldn't surprise me if Tom Cruise gathered everyone and apologized for the way that he treated them. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, and I don't think that Tom Cruise, especially being someone who says, you know, I can fly, believes or wants to wear a mask or wants to have a directional flow on set. And by that, you've seen it in stores. You can only go in one door, out one door. Please maintain 6 feet of distance and all of that. I did a shoot for production, doesn't matter which one, but I did a shoot and there were safety protocols before I met with the director. There were safety protocols. It was the weirdest meeting with the director I've ever had. And then before we went on set, we all, director and line, all had to go get a COVID test. We found out immediately, whether we were cleared or not. And I had the job, and that would have meant if that test came back, it was like, you're replaced. They had someone in line waiting for me. They had second string for everybody. And then we get on set, and it is first meeting that we had was with the on-set medic who goes, let me tell you how this set is going to run. And it was down to, here is a plastic bin for all of your stuff. You don't leave your stuff around on set. If we don't have paper sides, we'll be giving you a Kindle that is sanitized every night. This is where you get all of your scripts. There is your trailer. And if you're not on set, we ask that you be in your trailer. If you are outside, if there's anybody there, put on a mask. You may eat and pull down the mask, but afterwards pull the mask back. And it was all of these safety protocols. I had to go online and do an online test. And I had to pass that test and show a certification that I did the test, like taking defensive driving after a ticket. I had to do all of these things to make sure. And when we were on set, it was like, if you're not speaking, put your mask on. Even if you're in the set or even if you're in the shot. And we shot this way, but everyone was like, fine, because we're back to work. And we have seen an industry rise to meet these challenges, but by and large, I don't know the level of hierarchy where these guys work. As I understand, it was two guys looking at a computer screen that were too close to each other. I don't know if that's true or not. Purportedly, that's what it was. But Tom Cruise has a different position. Tom Cruise, like he said, he goes, I'm on this phone with the studios every night because they're going, we can't mitigate. We're trying to mitigate our responsibility and our risk because we could be taken down. And Tom Cruise is going, just please, I'm trying to keep these. He's advocating for the 300 to 500 people that are on set. And these two yahoos don't feel it's necessary to do that. It's like, I don't think it's necessary either. But if we get shut down, if a movie like Tenet or Batman or Dune or Mission Impossible gets shut down, as they go, so goes the rest of the industry. Because if they can't let a production like that happen, they can't let any other production happen. And so that's why he's saying is we are the gold standard. If we pull this off, then we can show that it's possible to do it and we can get our industry back to work. And that doesn't just affect movie people. That doesn't just affect Hollywood. In the writer's strike of 2007, there were mom and pop shops, diners, bookstores, all sorts of little places in Burbank that shut down and are no longer around because the writers went on strike and it shut the town down. And so people who would normally go to work to the set didn't go there for lunch, didn't go there to shop. And so those places that had nothing to do with the film or television industry shut down. So this is proof again. In the very beginning, when this COVID thing happened, we adopted the mantra, we're in this together, because it sounded like a great little slogan for us to have. But the profundity and the truth of that is so astoundingly accurate. This affects all of us. Wearing a mask affects all of you, regardless of what you think about it. If you don't want to live your life in fear, fine, don't. But if you go outside around somebody else, it's the same way about someone walking up to you going, can I tell you about Amway? Can I tell you about Amway? Like, put on a mask. I equated it to this. If we're outside and we're like in a big field or whatever, and 8-bit takes a shit.
Where is this going?
Follow me. I have a poop bag. Now, I don't like bodily functions. I'm not that guy. I change my son's diapers, or now he's peeing and pooping in a toilet. So I mean, I can handle that because I love him. But I'm not a big bodily function guy. I'm not that, and that's not me. But whenever 8-bit takes a poop, I got poop bags, and I reach down and I pick it up and I carry it around until I find a black trash can that I can put it in. Why? Because, number one, there's a city ordinance that says curb your pets. Pick up your poop. Then there's also the other part that says it's courtesy to do that because you don't want somebody stepping in it. The main reason why we do that, why it's a city ordinance and why it's courtesy, is because it's possible that somebody else could come by there and either pick it up, touch it, or another dog could get it. And that's how you could transmit a disease. So as a preventative measure, please carry this around and use it and make sure that you pick up your shit. So while I do not condone the methodology of how Tom Cruise met this, and I'm sure that he wouldn't either, I do agree with the fact of, even if you think it's dumb, even if you don't think it's right, even if you don't think it'll work, follow these safety protocols, because it's more is at stake than your personal beliefs. There's literally an entire industry that this affects, and we are all in this together. Disagree with me. I want to find out what you think. Reach out in the comments if you've got something to add to the conversation. We'll bring you in like an old talk radio show.
Specifically, go to Patreon. I posted a link there. We have some questions already. I have updated that post to include the Zoom link. So if you want to ask your question live on air, like an old-timey radio show, click that link and we'll bring you in.
It reminds me of the Christian Bale, him losing his shit.
On
Terminator? Good for you. On Terminator. So I've told this story, I think, a couple times, but I don't know if I've ever told it like on a public forum. But
you were there.
I wasn't there, but I was dating someone who was part of the production crew. And it was towards the end of the shoot. They had incredible obstacles of just making a massive movie like that from the very, very beginning. Like, they were the week that they were supposed to start shooting, they didn't know if everybody was going to go to work, and they had already, like, because production starts and then there's pre-production, which is not just like people in a room talking about story. It's like construction crews building sets. It's location scouting. It's securing rights and permits to be able to shoot. There's all of this stuff that has to happen before actual production starts. So all of this had happened, and they literally Monday morning were like, or Sunday night, they're like, we're not sure if we're going to work Monday morning because we don't know if we have this one thing that they needed. Not my business to discuss it. I just happen to know. So cut forward to like 3 months later. They're in New Mexico. just outside of Albuquerque shooting. They're on night shoots. It had been crazy with the director. The script had been a mess. Christian Bale had really stepped up. He had brought in Jonathan Nolan to write. I don't know if that's public knowledge, but maybe it is. He had basically was the captain of that ship. Christian Bale took the entire shouldered the entire responsibility of that movie. And there was a DP, Shane Hurlbutt, who a DP is a director of photography, and typically DPs come up at one of two routes. They either come up through camera or they come up through lighting, and then they typically will go on to direct them themselves. Shane came up through lighting, and so he is always thinking about where lights need to go. So all throughout the shoot, they would be setting up, and Christian or McGee would be setting up shot over here, and Shane would be going, okay, guys, here's what I need. And he's calling out to all of his grips to make sure they bring in the 10K over here, and they need a flag over here, and he's setting up his lights to get the shot that they need. So it's a very, everyone just kind of like, you have to pocket conversation a lot, and that's why you have radios, and different people are on different radios channels. So like transpo go to, if someone to go to 2, so you don't have this, everyone who's wearing headsets all of a sudden hears this broadcast conversation. You can have a private conversation if you go to 2, transpose on channel 6. So everyone has like lanes of conversation to keep the chatter on set down. Shane would just kind of like broadcast, okay, guys, here's what I need. I need to go and put that 10K over here. We're going to fly that. I'm going to need a stinger over here because we're going to need to flag this and all this stuff. So it's a late night shoot. It's a very intense scene. Christian Bale comes up to Shane and says, hey, man, we're working on this scene. It's really going to require a lot. I want for Sam and I to rehearse. And then once we get done, I will let you light, but just let us rehearse first. He goes, yeah, of course. And so they start rehearsing. And Shane goes, okay, guys, what I'm going to need is like, Shane, I told you I'll let you light, but please let us rehearse. Yeah. Sorry. So they go back and rehearse and goes, so we're going to need that 10K. And Christian just snaps. And he just fucking loses it on Shane in front of everybody else. No, they're on a sound stage. It's like 2:00 in the morning, or maybe it's a little bit earlier than that. I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, and all of a sudden I hear this racket in the back. She goes, I gotta go. Christian's losing his shit. She was outside the stage in the production trailer, I believe, and I could hear it all the way out there. He came back later and apologized. But what you heard was a moment of just someone going, I'm just trying to do my job, man. And I've asked you and I've been kind, but nobody ever heard that story. All they heard was somebody leaking audio. And forever painting Christian Bale in a certain light. No one ever saw, and he, by the way, went on a radio station. I think he was on Howard Stern the next morning, and he was like, God, I really lost my shit, didn't I? Yeah, sorry about that. Never said, do you know what I went through? Do you know what I did? I have fully justified in the same way that I bet Tom Cruise would probably not go, do you have any idea? And he would probably go, I really lost my shit. I'm really sorry about that. I'm trying to do what I can to make this industry happen. And yeah, I kind of lost my mind. So the whole point of that is context is everything. And just like I don't want to be forever defined by a single moment of weakness or anger, as I'm sure you wouldn't want to either. Let's make sure that we're not too quickly jumping to anger when it comes to Tom Cruise. What's the question? By the way, also name a single movie that Tom Cruise has been bad in. Not saying that there's not a bad movie that Tom Cruise has been in, but name a single performance that Tom Cruise is bad in.
I'll have to think of one.
You can't come up with one.
You're right.
Tom?
I'm not allowed.
You're not allowed.
Didn't Christian Bale also like clock that guy?
No.
I'm thinking of something else. Well, our first person that we have
Who we got?
is our very own Lily K.
Oh, of course. I would love to know what Lily thinks about this.
So I will be turning my video off. Oop, hold on. Hi, Lily.
Hello.
What? What a way to start. What? All right. First of all, I'm not surprised that you of all people have something to say about Tom Cruise. So I'm hoping that there's a bit of disagreement because I'd love the opportunity to discuss with people that I respect. So what is your take on this?
Well, surprisingly so, I do agree with him. I'm not gonna lie, which is a first for me because I don't like the guy. But especially when I first heard the message, I was like, yeah, I think he was a bit rough. Like I wouldn't have gone off the same way as he did, but at the same time, we don't know the context. Like there was probably incidents where they were like, okay, but please, keep it in mind in the future. And I think he just had enough and just went off and was like, okay, that's that. But I don't know. I just couldn't help but feel that how much longer can you keep up film productions like this? Like, I literally lost jobs at the very beginning, independent films. I had my first role booked and everything, and I lost it because one person didn't follow the guideline. He got sick, and then the whole production shut down.
So you're saying, are you advocating for the fact that maybe we shouldn't? It's too untenable of a situation for us to even have production. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say it like that, but I think it's getting riskier and riskier. Like even at the safest places or at the biggest film productions, like Batman or Jurassic World, there were incidents where they had to shut down for 2 weeks because one person or two or three got sick, and they were like, okay, we cannot risk anyone else getting sick. Like Robert Pattinson got sick, and then Jurassic World had to shut down for 2 weeks as well. So it's incredibly hard to find a balance, I think. But at the same time, the cinemas are already dying. We are already at that point. I feel like that it really saddens me. As Tom Cruise said in that, like they are giving jobs, they are keeping jobs up, and they are helping people to get by. And it's so hard because these film productions have at least 1,000 people on set.
I mean, 1,000 seems high.
With the extras and everything,
Yeah,
it can easily be. Yeah.
If you're doing a big shoot, it's once you go into the fact of like you got an entire medical team, you got a transport team, you've got all of that. It is a small city that you're talking about managing, and we can't even you look at a Walmart or a park or anything else. It's like it's hard to manage those people, and there's probably a maximum of 200 people, 500 people, maybe in something as large of a place as that. So, and they're all people that are operating autonomously. And just for a second, someone's just like, oh, sorry. What I'm trying to say is like, dude, you can't do that because if somebody came by right now, then it shuts down everything for all of us. And the reality is, movie studios don't just love movies. They're doing this because they're getting an ROI. They're getting a return on their investment. And if they invest $150 million, $200 million maybe, into a big tentpole AAA movie, then they can expect to get back $300, $500, $1 billion. That's why they do it. If it didn't, they would be doing something else. So the only way that they can continue to do this and operate on this is if the amount that they're putting in is less than what they're going to get out. And every day that people aren't working, I remember there was a movie that I was on where one time they have insurance days. So like if for some reason there's a fire, there's an accident, and they have to shut down, there's a certain amount of insurance days that the production can cover.
Yeah.
But it's not infinite. The insurance company would be like, we're only paying for a certain amount. So there was a shoot that I was on, and an actor was unable to be on set. And so they're like, you got to pay for this. So personally, out of his pocket, and this was 15 years ago, he had to pay like $75,000 just to cover that day. Now, if you think about most shoots on a big, huge, you're probably going to shoot for, let's say you shoot for 2 months, right?
Mm.
And you're on 5-day weeks. So that's what, how many days is that? That's 8 times 5. So that's 40 days. Is that right?
But yeah.
40 days on an average, say $75,000. That's $3 million. Now there's no way that that's going to cover most movies. But if because a $3 million shoot, that's an indie movie, right?
Yeah.
So that's such a low amount. But if you start thinking about how much each day is costing, each day that people are just sitting there and you just have to pay and you're not producing anything and you're pushing it further and further out. And then adding that on, I'm sure Tom Cruise is thinking about this too, because I don't know who owns Mission Impossible. I don't know if that's a Warner Brothers thing. Do you know who the studio that's behind that? Is
it should
like
be
Miramax or whatever Tom Cruise
Yeah.
brought back to life?
Mission Impossible. I think it's a Warner Brothers one.
Because if it's Warner Brothers, here's what Tom Cruise has got to be thinking. He's just watching what happened with Chris Nolan and Dune. It's like Wonder Woman 1984. It's like, wait a minute. The only way this thing makes money and the only way that we all get rich, essentially, we make our money back, is if this thing hits the big screen. And if it's going to go straight to HBO Max to feed that fatted calf, he's probably got that going. Why are we doing this? This is going to be a easily $180 million, $200 million movie,
Easily.
and we're not going to make our money back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of frustration. So I mean, I understand the level of frustration. Lily K, you're incredible. Is there anybody else that we have? Also, I want to see if I want to find someone who disagrees with me.
I don't know you, Will.
I don't know if we have any of those.
Yeah.
But Lily,
Really?
thanks for joining us. I'm gonna
Lily,
put you
you're
back
incredible.
into the waiting room. So thank you.
What else we got? Lily K, you guys should watch. She and Katie Volker have their own podcast every Tuesday to all the films we've loved before, or judged before. Sorry, I immediately went Willie Nelson on that.
We have Angie.
Angie Gatfield?
Yeah, let's see if she joins.
Angie's here on this video, which is just going to be a jumbled mess. I love it. So on
I'll
brand
edit
for
it
us.
into something coherent, hopefully.
Good. Also, just to let you know that we haven't done a Relator in Real Time in a while, but the content that we're going to be producing is going to slow down a little bit for the holidays, but we've actually created a community calendar. If you have an idea, we don't want the opportunities for people to have community to kind of slow down over the holidays, as most of us need that, especially this year. So we've created a calendar. You can go to our Patreon, right? Patreon.com/Troy Baker.
Yep, I will be publishing that calendar later this week.
Perfect.
So please keep submitting stuff. If you already submitted something, submit it again.
It's a simple Google form that says, "Hey, I want to do a Jackbox game on Tuesday night, 10 o'clock, UK GMT, whatever it is. If you have an idea, just a Zoom hang. Zoom cocktails are great. If you have something that you want to submit to the calendar and give people an opportunity to join in and just give them a way to interact, let us know what it is. We can add to the calendar. Today is Writer's Room. So we've got the opportunity, if you're a writer of any kind, journalist, essayist, poet, novelist, screenwriter, this will be the last Writer's Room for this year, where we all get together and just find a great, encouraging way to discuss the art and the craft of writing. We do that every Wednesday, and then Friday we've got, hopefully game nights can be Friday, Saturday. It's time, y'all. I waited all year for this. Every Saturday we get together and we get to screen a movie. I cannot believe I'm going to say this.
We're going to watch Mortal Kombat, right?
Don't you dare. I would love to watch
Christmas
Mortal
movie.
Kombat. Christopher Lambert as Raiden. So weird. You know, the God of Thunder. The French God of Thunder. We get together every Saturday and we watch a movie together, and the movie is always chosen by someone going, I can't believe you've never seen this movie, and we get to watch it all together. It's the only theater in the world we're encouraged to talk during the movie. This is the final one for this year. We're going to watch the best Christmas movie ever, Die Hard. So please come join us for that. And then we all jump on a Zoom call afterwards and discuss the hilarity. It's great. It's a little podcast, a little bit of movie, lots of fun. And then Sunday will be our final prompt of the year, hosted by Armane's doing it this Sunday, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Just have to confirm.
Right? Yeah, man. Prompt is a community creative event where we get together and a theme is chosen. It's discussed for about 15 to 30 minutes sometimes. And then if you're watching on YouTube, we encourage you to find a creative way to express that chosen theme. If you're part of our Rad Pack, which you can find more about by going to patreon.com/Troy Baker, then we all jump on a private Zoom call afterwards, and you're given 30 minutes in order to creatively express that. And we all come together after those 30 minutes, and we share and discuss how you chose to do it. So that's kind of like what we do standard throughout the week. We'll be back with more episodes of Legit, which come out every Monday. Tuesday is KDV and Lily K's podcast to all the films I've judged before. And then Wednesday, Writers Room will kick back up. So thank you guys for watching this. If you watched it live, thank you for your comments and your questions. Keep the conversation going. What did you think? Tom Cruise, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Mask on,
sound
mask off.
Yeah, mask on, mask off. That's a great one too. If we don't see you before then, have the happiest of holidays, happiest of New Year's. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, and most importantly, you guys stay rad.